Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for divorcing my husband after he cheated with my sister, cutting off my mom for supporting them, and moving on with my life? This has been the most traumatic year of my life, and I'm wondering if I'm being too harsh or if I'm justified in my choices. I, F35, was married to my husband, M42, for 8 years. We have 2 kids together, a son, 9, and a daughter, 7. I thought our life was stable and happy until everything unraveled 7 months ago. I found out that my husband was cheating on me with my younger sister, 24. I didn't discover it through subtle clues or intuition. My son overheard an inappropriate conversation between the 2 of them at a family gathering and came to me, confused and upset. When I confronted my husband, he denied it at first, but eventually admitted to the affair. I was utterly shattered. But what made it even worse was that my mom sided with my husband and sister. She defended their actions, saying, "Your sister is young and doesn't know any better, and your husband must have felt neglected to fall for someone else." Then she had the audacity to suggest I forgive them and keep the family together for the kids. I was stunned and disgusted. My dad, on the other hand, was furious. He called out my mom's behavior, told her she was enabling betrayal, and eventually filed for divorce from her because he couldn't tolerate her lack of morals. He's been one of my few sources of support throughout all of this. I filed for divorce immediately and cut off my mom and sister completely. My kids have been struggling with the fallout. My son is especially angry and has told me he doesn't want anything to do with his dad. My daughter is quieter but has been acting out in small ways. We've been going to therapy together, and I've been doing everything I can to help them navigate this while also trying to heal myself. Over the past few months, I've started putting my life back together. I've focused on my kids, leaned on my dad and close friends for support, and even started dating someone new, F36. She's been incredible, kind, understanding, and supportive. She's great with my kids, and they've grown to love her, which makes me feel like I can finally see a light at the end of the tunnel. But the chaos isn't over. My sister's relationship with my ex-husband has completely fallen apart. Shocking, right? Now she's blaming my mom, saying she encouraged the whole thing. My mom, meanwhile, is blowing up my phone, accusing me of tearing the family apart by refusing to forgive them. She says my new relationship is a slap in the face to our family and claims I'm being selfish for not letting her or my sister back into my life. To top it off, my ex-husband has been reaching out, begging for forgiveness and asking for a second chance. He's telling me it was all a mistake and that he misses me and the kids. My son and daughter both want nothing to do with him, but I'm conflicted about how much of a relationship, if any, they should have with their father. My dad and friends say I'm doing the right thing by cutting out toxic people and focusing on rebuilding my life. But the guilt tripping from my mom and sister is starting to wear me down, and I'm wondering if I'm being too harsh. Should I try to reconcile with my mom and sister for the sake of family? Should I give my ex more of a chance to be involved for the sake of the kids? Am I the bad person for divorcing my husband, cutting off my mom and sister, and moving forward with my life and new relationship? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for refusing to take care of mother-in-law? I, 36F, have been a caregiver to my in-laws for the last 2 years. They acquired lots of debt from their 3 other children, husband and I don't have any, and never ask for things. His siblings were given cars, his parents took out 2 reverse mortgages on his older siblings, maxed credit cards, and still have $14,000 in debt. I have been under a lot of stress taking my in-laws to appointments, FT caregiving, kids to school, house, grounds maintenance, etc. I normally get up at 3 a.m. to start the day. Recently, I finally snapped. I was just tired and needed a break. My husband's siblings have not helped with his parents at all, and my husband responded that day with, "Why are you always so angry?" I had stopped washing the dishes. My MIL was in earshot of this. I got up, got dressed, gave my kiddos a kiss each, told them I loved them, and drove over to my friend's house for a good cry out of frustration. She let me and allowed me to take the time to decompress, and I went home. A few weeks later, my husband came up to me and said his mother asked him when I left, "You don't think she's having an affair? Do you?" This took me completely off guard. Here I am sacrificing my time to care for her and her husband, and that's the first thing that crosses her mind? Not the lack of support from her kids, but that. I told my husband that I refused to help her and would no longer be her caregiver. The one thing I've never wavered on is my stance on being faithful. So, AITA, and refusing to take care of my MIL after this. Edit, for those of you asking about my husband. He shot my MIL down real quick when she mentioned it. We have an open communication, thus why he told me about his mother's response. He's on my side when it concerns his mother. We are currently talking about accommodations for my in-laws over coffee. As for my parents, my mother left my siblings after my father's passing of leukemia. My sister became their guardian. My father passed away when I was 17. He was taken care of by my siblings and myself until his passing. Backstory, they had to sell their home 2 years ago due to them not being financially in debt, over $30,000 in debt prior. I agreed they could stay at the time as I had a good relationship with my in-laws. Recently, my FIL was admitted into the hospital, then rehab, now home with us. He is legally blind and has multiple health problems. I was a caregiver for many years, 10 plus with dementia, so I don't mind my FIL in the least. He doesn't bother me and does his own thing. What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for calling the cops on my stepdaughter? Me, 35F, and my stepdaughter, R, 19F, had a fight. Thanksgiving came around and my stepdaughter spent it with us. Her mother and her husband had decided to go on vacation and didn't invite her. Her dad told her to come to us. I didn't mind, as I and her didn't have any issues. She'd met me a few times before and I thought we got along. She's a very pretty, smart young girl, despite not having a job or being in college. Now, R has not seen me since before we had our twin girls, 3, almost 4 years ago. Back then I was very tiny, but due to the weight I gained from the twins, and my pregnancy now, I'm about 40 pounds heavier. The weight just didn't want to fall off, and honestly, I kind of liked it. Anyway, Thanksgiving was only us and R came in and immediately made a face at me, like she didn't know who I was. After a moment she gave me a short hug and was like, "You, M?" Okay, she'd not seen me in almost 3 years, it's okay, and I laughed it off. Throughout dinner, R kept staring at me, and even gave me a few backhanded compliments. Like, "You've changed, the gap between your thighs are non-existent," and etc. My husband was clearly agitated, but didn't say anything, and I grew quieter and quieter. The twins even caught on, and my eldest, S, even told her to shut up. This set her off. R jumps up and tries to jump over the table to where the twins and I were sat to get to my 3-year-old. I immediately jump up and sort of yank her away from my kids onto the floor. I back away after, apologizing. R doesn't care, she jumps up and attacks me like a wet cat. She claws my face, attacking my bump, and kneeing me wherever she can get. I shove her off me, yank my twins up, and run into the kitchen. They are screaming, my stomach was cramping, and my nose was obviously bleeding. My husband and she were yelling. I called the police. They get there and I decide to not press charges, but by this time I am whizzed off. I tell them I want her gone and a restraining order if she doesn't want me to press charges before I take my kids with me to the ER. I leave my husband to take care of the rest. I had to go on bed rest for a while, as my daughter had experienced extreme distress. My nose was broken, and my foot was sprained. Not because of her, I tripped on my way out of the kitchen. My husband felt bad, but he told me he didn't want me to go through with the restraining order and that I'd WTA to call the cops. That I was overreacting. This gave me flashbacks, and I felt like I was being manipulated and talked down to. I took my twins and I left. It's been about a week, and so when I'm back home, but I'm starting to think I might have overreacted. She came to us struggling, and I didn't control my kids. But did she have a right to attack me? My husband is mad. Her mom called me to tell me what an asshole I am, and she's telling people I started it. I don't have friends. I feel like I'm 24 and stuck again. Am I the bad person? What do I do? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.